First of all, thank you very much indeed for this invitation. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very grateful to the people I call the Brazilian founders for having asked me, and it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces again. Is that level all right for the translators? Oh, ça vous va? It's okay? I think English is probably easier than French. Those are my two languages. Okay, English. Well, I wanted to try to propose a paradigm, in other words, a way of looking at the world, a kind of narration of the world. I don't think I can do it in 5 minutes, but I will try. Imagine that the world can be described in terms of concentric circles or concentric spheres. And we go from the most important to the least important of those concentric spheres. Imagine that the outside one and the most important today, I'm speaking about the present situation, the most important of these circles is finance. I think we have innumerable proofs of the importance of finance, the power of finance, and the political acceptance of finance and the markets, the financial markets, as the defining characteristic of our societies. I could prove it to you with a lot of figures. I won't take the time to do that, perhaps if you have questions. And for those who are in control of finance, the governments are now governing on their behalf. This is very clear in the United States, where a dozen major regulations were eliminated over the last 15 years, so that markets are now allowed to do as they please. The governments of the Western countries, Europe, Great Britain, and the United States, have already contributed $14 trillion to saving the banks and the financial system. 14 trillion is an incomprehensible number. Look at your watch. If your watch has a second hand, and if every second is $1, you look at your watch for 450,000 years, and you will arrive at $14 trillion, okay? It's a very large number, and that's what the governments of the West have spent of our money. It's not out of the sky, our money, to keep finance important. Now, why is this particularly important for all our concerns? Because, as Pat Mooney has explained, everything now has to become a commodity. But already food and water have largely become commodities. The food crisis of 2008 was largely the product of speculation and so on. So their goal is to, the goal of finance is to have everything in the market. Nothing can stay outside of the sphere of commodities. So I'm arguing finance is the most important, and it is less and less related to the real economy, which is the second circle, the real economy where real people work and produce and consume and distribute and so on. This is the economy where people have their jobs, it's where they have their income. Finance is less and less connected. For instance, in the real economy, food is very important. In the financial economy, nobody cares about food as something you eat. It's only food as something on which you can make money by buying a particular number of contracts and selling at the right time, etc. The solution for this circle of the real economy, every time there's a problem, they say the answer is growth. You hear that a dozen times a day. And now capitalism is also grabbing the ecological aspects. The last time I looked, green was the new color. Capitalism has invested about $1.6 trillion, or if you prefer, $1,600 billion in the green economy. They will make another bubble out of this. I don't really know whether it's better that they invest and that we have some alternative energies, or that they don't invest at all, but I wish that this were a public undertaking and not a private one. The people are having to pay again in the real economy. People are paying to save the banks again. This is particularly in Europe. They are having to sacrifice their retirement pensions, their public services, structural adjustment. It's our turn now in Europe. You have already been, you in Brazil and elsewhere, in Africa in particular, have already been through structural adjustment. Now it's our turn. But the people always have to pay. Third circle, and with decreasing importance, is society. Society is less and less democratic, more and more, of course, under the control of finance and the real economy. That's why I'm organizing this in spheres. Inequalities are growing deeper. The finance people and the larger corporations are not in the least interested in the people who are outside the production-consumption cycle. In other words, in their view of society, the only people who count are those who are valuable to the capitalist system. And that is why inequalities are deepening. People who are not producing and who consume so little that they don't count in the real economy are considered redundant by this system. There isn't any place for them.